for 8 o'clock. This is Saskatoon Morning on CBC Radio 94.1 FM. I'm Leisha Grebinski. Well, the 1979 Montreal Expos gave Canada baseball fever. The Expos had been also around for the first 10 years of being in the majors. But this young team with future Hall of Famers on it battled for the pennant until the final day of the season. A writer named Norm King was penning a book about that Cinderella season, but died before finishing it. Friends and acquaintances stepped up to the plate to finish the book for him, and one of those people was Saskatoon writer Don Rice. He joins us on the line right now. Don, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being with us. This is a lovely story. How did you get involved in the book?
Well, Norm had been spending 2 years of his life really putting this book together, and he got cancer during that time, but he kept going on the book because it meant so much to him. He was such a huge Expos fan, and 1979 was a very important and memorable season to him. But he couldn't quite finish it off. He got quite a ways along the way, so he passed away about 3 years ago. And then some others tried to take the book on right away, but they ran into a lot of problems and eventually just couldn't finish it. So the book had actually languished for quite a while. And then a friend of mine that is also an Expos author of several books named Danny Gallagher, he had known Norm, and he contacted Norm's widow and got permission to take on the book to finish it off. And when Danny let me know about what was going on, I volunteered to help to make sure that happened, partially because the Expo that year and the Expos were such a big thing to me as well, but also to honor Norm and all the work he had put in. It would have been a shame for that to have gone to waste and for it not to have gotten out.
So what was so special about the 1979 Expos?
Well, it's hard to try to put that together in a brief time, but I'll highlight some of the things. They were really the first team that kind of got all of Canada excited about the Expos. All of a sudden, radio stations across the nation were broadcasting them because of their exciting way of play. They were winning more that year than ever before, and attendance at the games skyrocketed. People couldn't get enough on TV as well. They were named the Canadian Press Team of the Year that year. And you mentioned in your intro about some of the players, some of the Hall of Famers like Andre Dawson and Gary Carter were just in their young days, young years, and were coming into their own. And they had several other players like Larry Paris, Steve Rogers, Ellis Valentine was one of the best players in the league at that time. And they just had the season where they finally put it all together, and they just found a way to win a lot of games. They had 39 come from behind wins that year, which was a massive total. And that's kind of typifies the style of play that we saw from them all year. They never gave up. You knew a game wasn't finished until the end. And the excitement just was beyond belief. If you were actually at a game in the stadium, it was just crazy in Montreal.
So you said that part of the reason why you were part of this book project is because that you're a huge Expos fan yourself, and you didn't know Norm. You had never met Norm, who wrote the book. So as you're going through and editing the book, and did you feel like did you learn stuff that you didn't know about the Expos through this? Did you feel like you learned a little bit about Norm through this? I'm just wondering what that's been like.
Yeah, definitely. I learned stuff about the Expos. I learned a lot about Norm. I appreciated his writing style. He was amazing at the way he put together information about that season. It can be kind of dry, honestly, when you're trying to go through a 160-game season and explain a little bit about each game and then wielding in other information. But the way that he put it together, I'm just amazed at his ability in keeping it exciting and making the transitions very interesting. So I learned about him and really grew to appreciate him as a writer. And then, yeah, there are definitely things. I was pretty young in 1979. I have fairly limited memories because of my age of a lot of that season, other than reading about it or hearing about it later. So it really brought out things to me that I either didn't know or had forgotten about as well. So it was exciting for me to see those things too.
So they came up just short of winning the pennant. Did they continue having success with their young star player?
Yeah, I mean, 1979 was really the start of a lot of things for the Expos, because in 1980 they carried it on with a lot of very much the same players, some differences obviously, but again in 1980 they took it to the final series of the season before losing out at the very end, and then in 81 that was their big breakthrough. When they finally made the playoffs, they actually beat the Phillies in their first ever playoff series, and then that's when people know about the Blue Monday hit when the season came to an end. But they really had a great year in 81, and from 1979 to 1983. And if you read in the book, too, even from 1979 to 1994, the Expos had the best record in baseball.
Do they remind you of a current team?
Yeah, definitely. It was kind of surreal going through this book during this season and watching the Blue Jays this year, Canada's other team, of course, and now their only baseball team. Because the Blue Jays have so many young, up-and-coming players, very similar to the Expos. And then the Blue Jays ended up doing, sadly, the exact same thing, taking it right down to the last game of the season before they, too, fell just short. So I expect the Blue Jays will hopefully exceed what the Expos did and next year potentially make the playoffs themselves.
What do you think Norm would think of the fact that the book is finally out like this?
Oh man, I love to talk to his widow and family members and friends and hear what they think about that. I know he was so excited when he got the initial publishing deal to put the book out, and I can only imagine how happy he'd be to see this, and I hope that his family and close friends are thrilled to know that this book is out there, and it's in large part an honor to him as well.
Don, it's been so good talking to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
It's Don Rice. He's a writer with the Star Phoenix. He helped edit
Thanks, Don.
the book 1979, the Expos First Great Season. It is available on Amazon, but you also have a chance to win a free copy of the book